What's happened in Texas in just a moment, but we're actually going to start with breaking news of another shooting. This is coming out of the American state of Ohio. Police there are investigating a shooting in the city of Dayton. This does appear to be the second mass shooting in the country in under 24 hours.
These are a couple bodies just right here.
Witnesses have reported a number of casualties. At the moment, though, no official confirmation of any deaths or injuries. Initial reports, though, and I must stress initial reports because news is coming in all the time from Dayton. These reports saying that a shooter has been either killed or arrested. Also reports that police are looking for a second suspect. More on that as it comes in. But here's what a reporter at the scene has been broadcasting on social media.
I was talking to someone, one of the bar owners, who said that they heard the gunshots and shut their doors, immediately locked them, and they said that they were trying to get people out through their back doors. They weren't going to let anybody out until, they knew they were safe. The scene is safe. The entire Oregon district right now is shut down. And that was one of several people we've seen being treated here on the scene already. I'm not going to obviously get up and close to them while that is going on. We got some, I believe these are detectives. Actually, I think one of those was the FBI person, but he might just have a lanyard on that says that.
I'm Victor Blackwell in El Paso, Texas, outside of a massive crime scene here where 20 people were killed, 26 were injured. There's a lot happening here as this investigation is just beginning, but there has been another mass shooting. Christy, to you.
Yeah, I'm Christy Paul. Victor, thank you. We went to sleep with the news of those 20 people dead in El Paso. You are waking up now. I am so sorry to tell you, to 9 more people who've been killed in a second mass shooting, this time, Dayton, Ohio. Between these two shootings, please absorb this. 29 people are dead. 42 people are injured in a 15-hour time span and 2 mass shootings. We're going to get back to Victor in a moment, but want to get you the very latest on what's happening in Dayton right now. The assistant police chief there giving us an update just a short while ago on this overnight shooting. Here it is.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Matt Carper, Assistant Chief of Police and Deputy Director of the Dayton Police Department. Just after 1 o'clock this morning, we had an active shooter situation in the Oregon District, part of our downtown area in the 400 block of East 5th Street. We had one shooter that we are aware of and multiple victims. Right now, the shooter is deceased from gunshot wounds from the responding officers. We have 9 victims deceased in addition to that on East 5th Street, and we have approximately 16 more victims hospitalized right now in unknown conditions. Currently, we're working on identifying the suspect to see what the possible motivation might have been. We do not have that yet. Suspect was firing a long gun with multiple rounds at the victims. We are currently opening up the convention center, and in the convention center there will be resources, information for family members and friends if they have any questions about the status of anybody who might have been involved, or if they have information to provide. We have a dedicated phone line. I'll give you that number now. It's 225-6217, 225-6217. If anybody has information regarding this incident, or if they have questions about the status of their loved ones, please call that number. We currently have the FBI on scene. We are conducting the investigation. FBI is on scene as well to provide any necessary resources. Initially, we had obviously multiple jurisdictions responding to assist the Dayton Police Department in handling this incident. Fortunately, we had officers actually already on scene in the Oregon District providing patrol. This is This is a very safe part of downtown, and it's a very popular destination for visitors in the Oregon District. So we regularly have officers in the area. Fortunately, we had multiple officers in the immediate vicinity when this incident started. So there's a very short timeline of violence. For that, we're very fortunate. This is a very tragic incident, and we're doing everything we can to investigate it and try to identify the motivation behind this. With that, I can try to answer a few questions.
Do we know where this may have started? We heard it could have started around Ned Peppers. Can you give us?
Yeah, I can tell you it started in the 400 block of East 5th Street, and this was all an exterior event. It was it all occurred outside.
Any description of the shooter you can share?
Not yet. The shooter is deceased, and we're still interviewing obviously a lot of witnesses as well as officers to try to determine if anybody else was involved.
What type of weapon was used?
It was a long gun.
And it was one shooter?
That we know of. That we know of right now. There's always a possibility that more people could have been involved, but that's what we're trying to identify right now.
Were any officers hurt during this?
No officers were injured.
What's the age range of the victims?
I can't tell you that right now. The coroner's office has a lot of resources on scene. Obviously, this is a very taxing event for resources for the police department, the fire department, medics, coroner's office. But we have a lot of help from other agencies and organizations. Fire had mutual aid as well, so there were 21 medic units that responded to this incident.
Was it a Dayton police officer that took down the shooter?
Multiple Dayton police officers.
How much time elapsed between the time the shooting started and he was engaged by the officers?
I will be able to get you more information. We'll have a follow-up news briefing probably tomorrow. I can't give you an exact date and time, but it'll likely be late tomorrow where we can provide additional information. I can tell you this, it's a very short timeline of violence, very short.
And how long do you expect to be out on scene tonight?
Throughout the whole night and morning.
You said roughly 16 injuries. Is that at least 16? As many as 16?
Yes, 9 dead, plus the suspects, so 10 dead on East 5th Street, and 16 that we are aware of hospitalized in unknown condition right now.
Jeff Likens, Dayton Fire, Deputy Fire Chief. We have set up a Family Assistance Center at the Dayton Convention Center. We'll give you a telephone number when we get that. That way family members can call to find out if their loved ones were involved and get a status of who was transported to which hospitals.
Is there any remaining threat to the public?
Not that we're aware of. The incident was resolved within a very short period of time, and the investigation will continue through the night, and we'll go wherever it leads us. Obviously, we're investigating the possibility of more people being involved. At this time, it looks like it might just be the one person.
After the shooting happened, I guess what was the protocol? Did first responders go to several bars to make sure people were okay? I guess what did y'all do after the shooting?
Yeah, the initial response was in any active shooter response, it's to respond directly to the threat itself, the immediate threat, and that was done within a very short period of time in this incident. After that, first aid was rendered to the many victims, and obviously first responders had a pretty busy evening tonight. But it was a county-wide request for assistance, so we had assistance from a lot of different jurisdictions in the area.
What's your message to the community after an event like this?
First is anybody with information, please give us a call at that dedicated line, or they can always call 333 COPS as well for additional information. But Dayton is a very safe area. The downtown Dayton is a very safe area. This is extremely unusual, obviously, for any community, let alone Dayton in our Oregon district. This is unheard of and very sad. It's a very tragic evening, and we have a lot of resources dedicated to take care of the victims' families, as well as identify any other people who might have been involved, or obviously the public will be very interested to know what the motivation might have been for such a horrific incident as this, and we're anxious to discover that as well.
This is in an area called the Oregon District. I understand it's an arts and an entertainment district, and we heard the assistant police chief there say this is very safe, this downtown is very safe, that this is unheard of.
Looking into the background of this area, Christy's been described as this thriving arts and entertainment district on a Saturday night. As you can imagine, it would be packed with people. There are various restaurants and bars in that area. It's an area that had recently experienced this urban rebirth or regrowth. So what we've been seeing here is police essentially concentrate and focus on this scene here, as we hear from the police authorities that they were initially called there to an active shooter situation, and now can confirm at least 9 people dead in addition to the shooter, as well as 16 people who have been taken to area hospitals where at this point their condition is unknown. The main focus right now, of course, now that the scene has been secured, is to try to establish a motive and to see exactly what has led to one of the nation's now latest shooting incidents here. It really does, the process and the procedure certainly does mirror what we witnessed in El Paso less than a day ago, where police initially responded. Once they were able to secure the scene, now we're essentially turning this active shooter situation now into an active homicide investigation, and that includes turning to federal authorities. We're told the FBI is already on scene. And then one more thing that also resembles what we unfortunately witnessed take place in Texas just a little while ago is now this push for information. You just heard from one of the police officials there on the ground now pleading with the public that if they saw anything, potentially shot any video of the situation there, to call that number that you see on the lower portion of your screen here, because they're essentially now trying to piece this investigation together, and now a very active scene that still continues after shots were fired in a very popular part of Dayton, Ohio at about 1 o'clock this morning. Christy.
All right.
Breaking news, 9 people are killed, at least 16 more hurt in another mass shooting, this time just down the road in Dayton, Ohio. Larry Sproul is following all the developments coming out of Dayton this morning. And Larry, this happened in the city's very popular and very safe night spot here right near downtown.
Good morning, Sean, and obviously a very sad time for the city of Dayton, Ohio. Now, as we mentioned, at least 9 people shot and 16 injured this morning. We have new video into our newsroom from the scene. Police tell us that shooting was in downtown Dayton, Ohio, in the Oregon district. It happened around 1 o'clock this morning outside the Ned Pepper's bar in the heart of the district. Now, just like any major city, the weekends are a very popular place for nightlife, and police say downtown Dayton is no different. Officers say they believe it was just one suspect, and he was shot and killed by police after the shooting.
Currently, we're working on identifying the suspect to see what the possible motivation might have been. We do not have that yet. Suspect was firing a long gun with multiple rounds at the victims.
This is still a very active scene, as you can imagine. Multiple law enforcement agencies are in Dayton right now investigating this shooting. I'm working on that part of the story in our next half hour. Right now, police have not released the names of the victims, but there is a number family members can call for assistance. That number is on your screen. It's 937-225-6217. We're live in the studio this morning. Larry Sproul, Local 4 News Today.
Police in Ohio are giving an update on reports of this mass shooting we've been telling you about. They have just confirmed that 9 people have died. Let's hear what they have to say. Apologies for the quality of the picture.
That we know of right now, there's always a possibility that more people could have been involved, but that's what we're trying to identify right now.
Were any officers hurt during this?
No officers were injured.
What's the age range of the victims?
I can't tell you that right now. The coroner's office has a lot of resources on scene. Obviously, this is a very taxing event for resources, for the police department, the fire department, medics, coroner's office. But we have a lot of help from other agencies and organizations. Fire had mutual aid as well, so there were 21 medic units that responded to this incident.
Was it a Dayton police officer that took down the shooter?
Multiple Dayton police officers.
How much time elapsed between the time the shooting started and he was engaged by the officers?
I will be able to get you more information. We'll have a follow-up news briefing probably tomorrow. I can't give you an exact date and time, but it'll likely be late tomorrow where we can provide additional information. I can tell you this, it's a very short timeline of violence, very short.
And how long do you expect to be out on scene tonight?
Throughout the whole night and morning.
You said roughly 16 injuries. That at least 16, as many as 16?
Yes, 9 dead, plus the suspects, so 10 dead on East 5th Street, and 16 that we are aware of hospitalized in unknown condition right now.
Jeff Likens, Dayton Fire, Deputy Fire Chief. We have set up a family assistance center at the Dayton Convention Center. We'll give you a telephone number when we get that. That way family members can call to find out if their loved ones were involved and get a status of who's transported to which hospitals.
Is there any remaining threat to the public?
Not that we're aware of. The incident was resolved within a very short period of time, and the investigation will continue through the night, and we'll go wherever it leads us. Obviously, we're investigating the possibility of more people being involved. At this time, it looks like it might just be the one person.
After the shooting happened, I guess what was the protocol? Did first responders go to several bars to make sure people were okay? I guess what did y'all do after the shooting?
Yeah, the initial response was in any active shooter response, it's to respond directly to the threat itself, the immediate threat, and that was done within a very short period of time in this incident. After that, first aid was rendered to the many victims, and obviously first responders had a pretty busy evening tonight, but it was a county-wide request for assistance, so we had assistance from a lot of different jurisdictions in the area.
What's your message to the community after an event like this?
First is anybody with information, please give us a call at that dedicated line, or they can always call 333 COPS as well for additional information. But Dayton is a very safe area. The downtown Dayton is a very safe area. This is extremely unusual, obviously, for any community, let alone Dayton in our Oregon district. This is unheard of and very sad. It's a very tragic evening, and we have a lot of resources dedicated to take care of the victims' families, as well as identify any other people who might have been involved, or obviously the public will be very interested to know what the motivation might have been for such a horrific incident as this, and we're anxious to discover that as well.
How recently has Dayton Police trained for active shooting situations? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Yeah, the Dayton Police Department trains regularly for active shooter. We actually have personnel within our department who train other departments nationally. So we've been training for active shooter for many, many years, and not just training the Dayton Police personnel, but other departments as well. So our people are very well trained for a situation like this, and we're very fortunate that the officers...
You're listening to Richard Beale, Dayton's police chief, giving an update on this mass shooting that has happened there in the Ohio City. Has confirmed that 9 people have been killed. The shooter is also dead. He did not confirm how the shooter died, but that 16 other people have been taken to hospital with injuries. We haven't heard from the police chief exactly where this has happened, but WHIO-TV, a local TV station, says that this shooting happened near a bar called Ned Pepper's, which is on East 5th Street in the city of Dayton's Oregon district, so clearly a public area. The police confirming that it is a large scene. Also reports that a second suspect is being sought, but that one, at least, the shooter is dead. 9 other people being killed, 16 people injured. This happening just a few hours after a mass shooting in El Paso, Texas, where 20 people were killed inside a shopping mall, 26 other people injured in that shooting. We'll keep you up to date as news comes into us here at TRT World.
Let's bring you some breaking news now about another mass shooting in America. Police have confirmed that 9 people have been killed and at least 16 injured in a mass shooting in Dayton, Ohio. The gunman is now also dead. Well, these are the first pictures from the scene. It's thought the shooting took place outside Ned Pepper's bar in the city. Well, we can get more on this shooting and speak to Derek Myers, who's a reporter for Newsnet and has just attended the police press conference in Dayton, a warning that there are flashing lights from emergency vehicles on the scene there. Derek, welcome to you. Tell us what more we know about this mass shooting.
Well, we know that the gunman's laying dead on the sidewalk just about a half a block from here. Around him are several victims. Some of those are those 9 victims. Some are inside the club at Ned Pepper. Some of them are on the sidewalk. And as you mentioned to viewers at home, there are 16 people at area hospitals right now. The death toll is expected to rise, unfortunately. We know that this scene is on a grid lockdown. Police are going centimeter by centimeter, inch by inch, looking for any evidence that might be helping them connect the dots as to what this motivation was. When we asked the police chief what his motivation for that gunman might have been, he said he didn't know at this time, but they were going to piece it together and find out. The FBI is out here, as well as other local and state federal agencies helping the local Dayton Police Department investigate this. This is something that is that has struck this community. This is a low crime area. This is happening all over the country in the United States, but it does not happen here in Dayton, Ohio, the police chief said. So he's quite heartbroken to see this happen in his community. You can see it on the facial expressions of the first responders that are out here. They're vividly shaking themselves. They work these streets. They have been inside this club multiple times, but this is the first time that anything like this has happened in their area.
Derek, tell us more about the area and this bar in particular.
Yeah, we're in the Oregon district, which is at the corner of 5th and Wayne in Dayton. It's popular nightlife, but it's a calm nightlife. This particular bar, Ned Pepper's, describes itself on its website as a Western bar. It has a dance floor, a tiki bar, promoting a Hawaiian atmosphere. It's a very laid-back community. This is not a high-crime area. The mayor here, Mayor Nan Whaley, has come out recently discussing about the low crime rates in the area. She's quite proud of the accomplishments that the police have made, especially here in the Oregon district.
Derek Myers, thank you very much for updating us on that breaking news. 10 people killed, including the shooter in Dayton, Ohio. More coming up. Stay with us.